To install VirtualBox, first Google for VirtualBox, click on the download link, and you can find executable installers for Windows and macOS. While it is downloading, you can also go ahead and download the Ubuntu image from ubuntu.com. Go to the download link, the desktop version, and download Ubuntu 15.04, which is the newest version. You can scroll down and directly go to the download link. You can download the ISO file, it's about 1 gigabytes. Once the downloads are complete, you can start the VirtualBox installation. You can accept all the default settings. Just keep clicking next and install. The installer might ask you to install a few device drivers. You should let it do that. This is the VirtualBox interface. To create the new virtual machine, click on the new button, enter a name for the machine, select the type as Linux and the version as Ubuntu 64 bits. For memory size, we recommend at least 1 gigabyte. If your computer has 6 GB or more of RAM, you should consider giving it about 2 GB of RAM. For the other settings, like creating the virtual hard drive, you can go ahead and accept the default settings. The 8 gigabyte size is good enough for what we are planning to do with the virtual machine. So the virtual machine has been created. Before we start the virtual machine, we'll go into the settings page and change a few things. We will first go to the systems page and enable the VTX AMD accelerations and the nested paging feature. Under the processor tab, make sure you give at least 2 CPUs and enable PAE physical address extensions. Under display, enable 3D acceleration. We can also create some shared folders to share files between the virtual machine and your Windows or Mac OS host, but we'll do that later. Verify all your settings here and start the machine. Since it is the first time the machine is booting up, it's going to ask you for a startup disk. Click on that icon and select the Ubuntu ISO file that you downloaded. The installation should now begin. You may see a few error messages on the screen, but you can safely ignore them. This is the installer. You click on the Install Ubuntu button. We recommend that you select the Download Updates and Install Third-Party Applications options. This increases the time it takes to install Ubuntu, but your machine will be up to date. You can go ahead and dismiss these warning messages. Select the first option, which is to erase the disk. You can safely ignore the warning that comes with it because this warning only applies to files on the virtual hard drive, which is currently empty. The installer will now ask for your time zone, a keyboard layout, your name, and it will ask you to create a new user account and a password. The installer will now start copying files. This is going to take a while. You can see the progress in the progress bar below. You may have to scroll down a bit. We'll go ahead and jump to where it has finished copying the files. The installation is now complete. You can click on the restart button, which will restart the virtual machine. During my installation, while restarting, the screen froze and there were a few error messages, but none of these error messages are related to the installation, so it's not nothing to worry about. You can close the window by clicking the X button and selecting discard, which will turn off the machine. Ubuntu is now installed on your virtual machine. You can go ahead and start it. The machine will start booting up. You will see some text on the screen, but they are not error messages and can be safely ignored. You can log in, and this is the Ubuntu desktop coming up in front of you. Before we start using the machine, we'll do a couple of things to make it perform better. We go to the devices menu and click on insert guest addition CD. What that does is it installs a set of programs on Ubuntu which make it which makes it easier for the virtual machine to do certain things. For example, sharing files with the host computer, automatically changing the screen resolution when you resize the window, and better graphics support. Once the installation is complete, you can press enter to close the window and then click on this icon to restart the virtual machine. The machine is going to reboot and you'll see the Ubuntu desktop. This time it will behave a little differently. If you resize or maximize the window, the resolution of the virtual machine will automatically adjust itself. A good thing about virtual machines is that you can always shut them down, but if you don't want to shut it down because a lot of programs are running, but you want to take a break and do something else on your computer, you can close it and select the option to save the machine state. This way, you can resume the machine and it'll behave exactly like the way you left it.